How's it going, everybody? Welcome to We Do Tech. So it is an exciting day because we have the brand new ROG Strix RTX 3070 right here, which for me personally is probably the best looking 3070 card on the market right now. The new Strix design is honestly so beautiful, and not only that, this is a beast of a performance card. Being again the best bang for your buck range, the 70 range is usually that, and this is definitely not going to be an exception for that. Now, the ROG Strix cards are usually a bit more expensive, so we're not exactly sure how much it is going to cost. MSRP for the 3070s is around $500. That's also depending if there's stock and no scalpers and all of that, so we'll have to wait and see. Again, not too sure about the pricing just yet for the card, but it's definitely going to perform well nonetheless. However, if you wanted to pick up one of these bad boys for yourself, definitely go check out DreamwareTech.co.za, where you can get a ton of other ASUS products as well. Forget about a subpar customer service. DreamwareTech delivers nationwide, keeps you updated on every step of the way, and still something very awesome is that everything comes inside eco-friendly packaging, which I really appreciate. So go check out DreamwareTech.co.za and get your new ASUS ROG Strix RTX 3070 today. Now, before we get into the design and the performance of the new card, let's quickly go over the specs because it does differ somewhat compared to the other 3080 and the 3090 cards. So it does use the normal GDDR6 memory instead of GDDR6X, and does also have 8 gigs of that instead of the 10 or the 24 on the other cards. It does also have a bit less CUDA cores at 5,888 compared to the more than 10,000 on the 3090 and almost a 9,000 on the 3080. But now, will that affect the performance at all? No, it won't, but we'll get into that. So the new 30 range Strix cards does have an all new design, and just like I said in the beginning, this card looks so good. I mean, I would honestly buy a vertical mount case just to show off how good this card looks. It has these beautiful silver lines on the front, and it kind of has a combination between gaming but still keeping it more professional. I honestly do really like that. You also have the Republic of Gamers font written all over on the front on the silver plating, which also just looks really nice, giving it a tad a bit extra. It does also have RGB, which honestly looks good. Some of the cards are kind of skimping out or going too overkill on RGB, but the Strix does have a very well balanced there. You do have the RGB strip here on the side with the lines. Now, if you wanted to, you can also just put it on a static color, let's say white, and it will actually still look really good. It's not that overall RGB madness, and it keeps it nice and subtle, but still having the gamer look to it with a RGB flow. Then also the RGB strip not only shines in the front, but it also glows underneath the fans, which gives a nice accent lighting there as well. Now then, as for the backplate, you do get the continued ROG look with the ROG eye and the Republic of Gamers branding on the silver accents. Now also, this is a massive card. I think ASUS stuck with the exact same shroud and a cooler design that they have on the 3080 and the 3090. I'm not exactly sure because we haven't had a look at them yet, but it is super thick, wide, long, and also very heavy. This is probably the heaviest card that I've taken a look at yet. That's including 3090s. So it is definitely a big boy, and it's very solid as well. Now, I would definitely recommend you getting a GPU support bracket because this card is definitely going to sag, so just make sure that you do have one. But now, moving on to I/O, this is also where it gets a bit interesting. So you do get a 3 DisplayPort version of 1.4As, but also, unlike some of the other 3070 cards and even some of the other 3080 cards, you actually get a 2 HDMI 2.1 ports instead of just one. So that is a very nice inclusion. So if you do have multiple monitors, you're going to be set for that. And also because it's HDMI 2.1, you should be able to play 8K games at 60 FPS. I don't think the card is strong enough for that. It's good enough for 4K, but that's a bit overboard, I think. But maybe in a different video, we'll try that out. We'll see. Now, as for our power, you do get a dual 8-pin connectors that with our overclock drew a max of 280 watts. We would definitely recommend you getting or at least a 600 watt power supply, but under a gaming load, it mostly ran between 240 and 250, so not too bad. And if you still have a good high rated 550 watt power supply, that might actually still work as well. Then as for cooling, the Strix card, all of them feature the 3 fan design with an axial tech fan system. These fans feature a smaller hub in the middle for larger blades and also a barrier ring to increase downward air pressure. That directly translates into a better cooling for the GPU. The Strix cards also are known for being very cool, especially when pushed to their limits with an overclock. So then for our cooling, it did do quite a decent job here, reaching a peak of 66 degrees under full load, with the fans running at 66% or around 1600 RPM, with our ambient room temperature also being quite a bit high at around 28 degrees. It's summer here and we didn't have any aircon, so yeah, it was a bit toasty, but on idle it ranged around 40 degrees, which wasn't too bad. Looking at our overclock, we were able to add an extra 100 MHz to the core and 400 MHz to the memory for a slight bump in performance. We saw an average of around 5% increase in the 3 games we tested, which was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and F1. But for most of our tests, we kept it on a stock because again, the car is already OC'd out of the box, and we want to keep it as general as possible for the average consumer. Now, even though this isn't an issue for me personally, but it might be for some, so how loud does the Strix card actually get? Because sometimes they do get quite a bit loud. So with our ambient room noise of around 42 dBs, we did see that it reached 48 dBs at 60% fan speed under a full load, which is around 1600 RPM. That was actually quite decent considering that we did have an open test bench for everything as well. Now, when we bump it up to 100% of fan speed, there it reached a max of 68 dBs, which was a bit louder than some of the other 3070s cards that we took a look at already. So then getting into the long-awaited benchmarks, we paired up the Strix RTX 3070 with our i9 9900KF at 5 GHz and a 64 gigs of memory running at 3000 MHz. Also, for the people who are interested, we are going to do a side-by-side comparison between the resolutions and also some of the other cards and all of that, but it's going to be a visual comparison, so check that out on our second channel. We do benchmarks, and there's also going to be just a ton of more content there, so definitely check that out. So then, how did the Strix card actually perform? And it didn't disappoint. The 3070 is an amazing card, even more so being the Strix version. I almost spent more time just looking at the card because it looks so well than actually playing the games. But when I was playing, I had a blast. It was smooth. I had no interruptions in gameplays at all, game crashes, nothing like that, random freezes. That didn't happen at all. It was just a pure bliss with this card. Now for our benchmarks, we did compare it in 1080p, 1440p, and 4K to get a all-around performance look at the card and see where it's going to fit best. And honestly, in all 3 of the resolutions, it didn't struggle at all. The 3080 did kind of not really do that well in 1080p. This card had a blast there. But not only that, if you want to pair it up with a 1440p monitor at 144 Hz or even more than that, this is going to handle that no problem. It is honestly a beast of a card, sitting right in between the 2080 Super and then also the 3080. It is so powerful, and also for a fraction of the price. Now, if you want to potentially go up to a 4K, you will be able to do that as well without any issues. 4K 60 is definitely now possible on a more of a mid-tier card, which is just unbelievable. Also, again, you won't need to sell your kidney to actually afford this card, being at around $500, maybe a bit more. But that's honestly unbelievable how good the 3070 performance really is. Now, of course, you do also get ray tracing and DLSS with these cards, and it's so much better compared to the 2000 series cards, even the 2080 Ti. Forget that. It actually does really well. We're able to play Control at 4K with DLSS and ray tracing, and it was actually playable. Now, if you do disable DLSS in 4K, then it does struggle a bit there, but just enable DLSS, it actually makes the game look better than standard 4K because of the extra sharpening thanks to DLSS. It honestly just looks amazing, and I can't wait to possibly check out Cyberpunk on this card. It's going to look so good. Unfortunately, it's only in December now, so we'll definitely have to wait, but maybe we'll actually have a stocker by then, and you'll be able to experience it yourself as well. So overall, the 3070 ROG Strix is just a beast of a card. It's a massive, it looks great, it has a great cooling. All around, it's just a beast of a card. You're not going to have to worry about any performance issues. Again, you're just not going to be able to play 8K. I don't think. Well, we'll see. Maybe even DLSS will help with that, like we saw on the 3090. We'll see. Maybe that's the idea for a video again. But for all of us, 1440p at 144 Hz is now not going to be a problem on a bit more of a mid-tier card, which is just unbelievable. So yeah, I'm just really impressed on how the 3070s perform and just how gorgeous this card looks. Again, this is honestly the base looking 3000 series card that I have checked out so far. Honestly, it's so good. And yes, ASUS, please send me one. But anyway, that's pretty much it. A big thanks to ASUS South Africa for sending the card over for review. If you guys want to get it for yourself, I will leave links in the video description. Hopefully there's going to be stock. I'm not sure as it's only being released now, so we'll have to wait and see. But if you guys enjoyed this review, please like, share, comment like always. Also subscribe and go watch some of our other videos. We do have 2 others as well that you can check out. And then also we do benchmarks. We're going to do a lot more comparisons there in the future as well. So definitely check that out. But anyway, thanks for watching guys, and I will check all of you next time. Cheers guys.